Hey everybody, and welcome to day 4 of the website building challenge. So today we're actually going to be putting our website together and creating it. So here we go. I'm going to go over to the Pixel Perfect. So when you come into your Builderall back office, you'll see this menu down the left here. You go to Builders, and then you pick Pixel Perfect, and you will then select new sites because you probably won't have a website there at the moment. So you click new website, and then you'll be presented with all different types of categories of kind of like pre-made templates that you can use just to build on if you don't want to build your website from scratch. So in order to do this, I am just going to take a blank page, and this is just because it's just so much easier to explain the different components of the editor when we don't have a lot of stuff going on. But you can really see there's, blogs, there's businesses, there's health and wellness. The amount of website templates that you have is just phenomenal. You definitely will find something that you can use. And the great thing about having this is that they've probably got you the mobile version as well, all nicely laid out. So anyway, so let's go to the blank, to a blank page. And even though you can have it blank where there is absolutely nothing on the website, they also have kind of like templates that you have to start building yourself. So I'm just going to select this one just because it's got a couple of the elements that I want to show you how to edit on. And really, once you get into it, you'll start understanding it more, and you might have questions, and that's quite fine. Please remember that you can ask them in the group. So, all right, so what I'm going to do here, I just need to move a couple of things around. I'm going to just put myself down the bottom here, if that's okay. I'm just going to go through the menus and all the different kind of things that you can actually add on in your website. So obviously here's home. Now these are the different pages that you have in your website. Now obviously here you can see that I only have one page, but I'll show you a little bit later how you can add more pages. This thing over here is you can see that if I click on these things that the borders go up in green, and that's just so that I can see where the border is of the different elements that I'm using. Sometimes this is fine, a green would be fine, but if you've actually got a green background, this makes it really, really hard to actually find it. So what they've done here is you just click on here and it changes. So you can see now it's blue, gray, blue. So it just gives you those different options so that if you are working on a website that has a specific background color, that you've got an option. So I prefer the green. I think that shows up the best for me, but it depends obviously on the background. Then another thing that you don't worry too much about, this one is, say for instance, I want to hide elements on one of my websites. So remember, we've got two different versions of our website. We've got a desktop version and we've got a mobile version. Now, sometimes things really don't display well. Like, say for instance, if you've got a whole lot of videos on your site, on mobile, you might not want to have those displayed because a lot of people are using 4G, and you don't want to take up all their data. So some of the videos you might want to hide on that, and that's where we hide. And I'll show you how you can hide elements. But if you wanted to see all the hidden elements, they kind of like get put underneath here. There's your undo and your redo. That's pretty standard. And here you have a ruler. Now the ruler is very handy when you're actually wanting to line things up. So you can see over here, I can see that that's lined up. And what happens is if you're moving elements around, you can actually see it changes color. Now when it changes color, that means it's kind of locked into it. So I can, if I've got a whole lot of boxes here, I can actually line them up very, very easy. So if I want the text to also be lined up with that box. and you have rulers that go over here as well. So depending on, it starts here at 0, so that's 0, and then it goes all the way through to, I think, 1600. So you can put a ruler where, like midway, or so you can really get your stuff lined up nicely when you're doing your website. The other one is grid lines. So I might need to just change a couple of things here to actually see the grid line, because this website, let me just see if I can make it smaller. Okay, this website is, at the moment, it is full length, so you don't really have grid lines. So if you go over here, there's a change here. You can actually make your website to 990 or 1000, and then when you click on grid lines, you can see that here are the grid lines now that show up, which really means that this is where your website will show between, so in between these grid lines, so up to 990. Because when you've got, you know, websites and things like that, you can have them full screen. There's nothing wrong with that. But to have them show on smaller screens, you want to make sure that you keep your elements, or the bulk of your elements, in between those two lines. So in that, because if somebody was looking at this website on a 990, they probably won't see the elements that are out on this side. So that is that one. And then obviously preview, so if you want to look what your website looks like, and then save, and don't worry about that panel at this stage, it's a little bit more advanced. So when we go over here, we can see that we've got a desktop version, and we've got the mobile version. So this is just what your website will look like on mobile, and sometimes you want to adjust it. And we'll go through a couple of adjustments maybe in the next section. When we add the blog, I'll go through some of the adjustments that you want to make on your mobile version. All right, so we go back to the desktop version. And now I'm going to just show you this menu here on the left. So this one is your different layouts. Now, I think for the most of you, just to start off with, you're probably just going to have one layout. Now, you normally have different layouts if you have different, like if you have a shopping cart. Now, layout is just your header and your footer is something that is standard on the layout. Your font is the same. You can have different fonts on different layouts and all kinds of different things when you create your layouts. And this is just where you will have it. And I'm going to move myself over here again. And this is really where you can add a layout if you want. If you've got another one is if you have versions of it where you've got membership website and things like that, that you might want another layout. And once you click on your layout, you then have all your pages that you have on your website. So it's really, really easy if you want to add a contact us page, or you want to add a you know, blog, want to blog, you know, like the different legal pages that you need, that all you will see over here in this section. And really, if you want to add another page, you just simply hit add page, and I'll do that now so you can see. So now we have all these different pages. Now we might have gone through it in a previous version, all the legal pages that you need. You click on that and you confirm, and then you'll see your disclaimer page will now show up in this. Let me just go confirm. And let's just close out there. Just see what's going on. All right, let me do it again. Add page. Oh, sorry. I am too much in a rush because now it's added it twice. Not a problem. So you click on it and then you go over here and it says, would you like to, no, hang on. I'm going to actually click on this page. And this brings up all the elements of their page. If I want to delete it, I just go up here and I confirm to delete it. So now you see I have two different pages here, And if I go to this drop down, I also now have my disclaimer page. So it's very easy for me to go in to edit that page. There you go. So we're going to go back to home. So this is where you have the different kind of like elements of your website. So you have your layout, and when you go to your layout, here is if you want to make that layout restricted area, and that's when you have added a membership website. But that's going to be down the track. If that's something that you want to do, I will be doing training on that as well. This is the different explanations or the different things that you want to do as a whole on that specific layout. So for that layout, you can have another favicon. Now, the favicon is this little thing that is on the, you know, in the different tabs. That's what shows up. You'll also have the title of your page, you'll have the description, you'll have all the keywords that you want that page to rank for. You'll have meta tags. Now, meta tags is a very advanced SEO thing, but we can go through that as well at later trainings. Your Facebook pixel, which you certainly want to get your Facebook pixel and be able to put it in here. Any analytics script. Now, we do have inbuilt analytics into Builderall. But if you want more advanced and you want to add the Google Analytics, you can add that script in over here. And then this is your mailing boss integration tool. And we'll go into that in subsequent trainings when we actually want to add an autoresponder. All right, so that is the basic things that you want to add for your, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, that you want to be adding for your website. So now, so I keep going back, but I don't need to. So now I want to go into my home page. Now double click on my home page, and this is then where I get all the information on that specific page. So I want to have a page title. I also want to have the page address, and now the page address is just really the URL, because that's what a URL is, right? So it will be that /. So say, for instance, this website was called My Website. This page would be called my website / home, right? The title of my page, my description, so obviously all the SEO stuff that goes in with this, the different keywords that I want to rank for this specific page. This is also, it will just show you what shows up in the Google preview. Now, if you don't know what the Google preview is, let me just quickly go over here. If we put in Google and I search, say, for instance, news, I just want to make a very generic one. That is what shows up over here, is what you would be putting in over here, what you would be seeing, what the preview is. You can also share an image. Any header scripts that you want to put in there, and then once again you can actually have a specific mailing boss tag for this page. Once you've made any of the changes in this, be sure to hit this little save button here. It's a little bit inconspicuous, and I've done it many times where I've actually not hit save, and when I go in then everything's gone. So you have to remember to hit save over there. So you can see over here is our analytics. And you can do A and B testing. You can also see your conversion stats. So there's a lot that you can do in Builderall that I'm not going to be able to go through in this training. Okay, and then you can also have different layouts, but that is a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to be dealing with that in this training. All right, so the main thing that you need to know on this menu is you need to add your information on your actual page or your actual website, or that layout. You've only got one probably. And then also for the different pages, what you want to do. And if you want to add a page, you just click on here, and it'll bring up all the different templates that you can use. And of course you can build your own. You just go to blank page, and you can put everything in from scratch. So you're not really restricted in what your website can look like or what you can do with them. The next one is the text. Now, this is really just the default group for that layout. So this is where you set your the fonts for your layout. Now, I suggest you just leave it whatever template you've chosen, or if you're going to do it from scratch, just leave it at this stage, unless you really want to change it. You just really click on it, and you can then change it to whatever you want. This then changes the text for that entire layout. Okay, so then you have the little plus. Now, the little plus is all the different elements that you can add on your website. So you can add pop-ups, texts, auto funnel tags. It's a little bit more advanced. A banner is something that goes right across your website. So it's kind of like almost in the background. You've got different simple boxes and arrows that you can add to your website. If you want to add it, you just click on it and it puts it there on your website for you. You've got vertical lines, horizontal lines, you've got boxes with tabs, you've got accordion style elements as well. So you've got your various buttons. So these are all the different types of buttons that you could potentially want on your website. Heaps of them that you can go, and then even within this you can also edit them, change the color, change the length, and that type of thing. Let's see, images. So this is where the different types of images that you can add. So just a normal straight image hover, so you can see it makes like a little bit of a hover thing. A 3D one really just means that it has a shadow behind it. And then you have this one that makes a fun, like a pop down or whatever. And all these things you can configure as well. So I don't want to overwhelm you too much. So for your first website, really just keep it as plain, as simple as possible, so that you can really just understand and learn how to start putting together a website. You also have a gallery image that you can do. So this is, say, for blog posts and things like that. You have various different ways that you can do that. If you're building a photography website, or you want to display a lot of product that you've done, or travel, these kind of images are really, these kind of like galleries are really cool to use on those types of websites. Then where are we now? Audio and video. So these are the different videos that you can do. Currently you have to upload them from or put them onto YouTube or Vimeo, and then you just add a link to it. I know down the track they are looking at giving hosting options in Builderall, but right now it gets hosted on YouTube. Obviously unlisted, right? Or not obviously, but if you don't want it to be found. These are your social icons. So we've got the different ways that you can add them to your website. Contact. So this is the contact us, the forms. So you always need one of those on your websites, like we spoke about earlier. Then your email form. So this is all your opt-in forms that you want. Oh, sorry about that. Where are we now? Animated counters. So you can do various types of counters on your website. There's just so much that you can do. And within these, you can always change them. Like this one, you can have bold, that one. And if you look through some of the example ones or the templated ones, you'll find a lot of them have different variations of these. Let's see, where are we now? Apps. So apps is like the PayPal button. If you want to do e-commerce, you can just add straight HTML, and this is sometimes required to add, if you've got a third-party app that you need to be putting in there that I've used before, the webinar thing. So you can actually, we also have within Builderall, we also have a webinar platform. So when you're building this is when you would need the webinar. We have the e-learning platform as well. And for those who are building websites for European or also have European users, the GDPR app is really important to put on your website. Anchors, I'll talk a little bit about anchors, but that's a little bit more advanced. You've got reviews, you've got your Shopify token, which probably we won't be needing to use as much anymore now that Builderall has got its own version of Shopify. Open table, finding a table reservation, and then also Amazon coupon. So these are all the kind of apps that you can add. Then we have hover elements. So this is really, really cool if you want to have something that has a hover on it like that, hover box. All kinds of things that you can, really do, that you can become really, really fancy with, and just, I don't know. As I said, keep it simple as possible. Timers, that's really great if you're hosting web pages, or you've got a special offer and you want it to be only for a certain amount of time. And of course, again, all these elements you can add, customize to your colors and your fonts and everything like that. But there's different styles of timers that you can have. Then you have the checkout. Now I won't go into checkout because that's a whole system and whole training all on its own. And then the blog apps, and we'll be talking more about the blog apps tomorrow. So that's what I'm going to kind of like touch on in this training, because this is really the crux of your website. So let me just move some stuff around. Okay, so once again, you see here you've got your logo, and this is your header section. So this is when you start building your website. You can have a logo. If you don't have a logo, you can always just put in text, and you just do that by clicking on text. You can put in a text. All right, so remember, so we just want to put a paragraph in. The headers, you always only have one header. But say, for instance, I want to do like a little bit more of a fancy text over here. I believe it's that one. Oh, no. No, this has just recently been changed. So, oh, sorry, you hit use new style. And now I can go maybe, and I can select maybe a fancy text that I just want to have my website name. Let's just try that. Okay, save. And I can just say, and I want to have it really, really big. I'll change the text itself now. I'm going to have it something like that. And I want it to be bold. All right, so let's just save that. We go in here because I want to change. Oh, let me just change what. Oh, sorry. I want to just change what text is that I have. Let me just go. Okay, and I'll select it, and I'm going to say Helen's site. And I'm going to select the rest of it, and I'm going to delete it because I don't want any of that. That's all the text that I have. Sometimes I've got to just pull it around, and that's okay. You can pull it around, maybe make it a little bit bigger. And now I select it, and I say I actually want to have it a different color. I want to do it in red. I'm just doing it. Obviously, this website's not going to look that cool, but and I don't want to have that logo there, so I control right click and I can just bin it, and off it goes, right? So there I have it. There's my website. I can make this a little bit smaller so that it doesn't hang over. So there you go. So this is what's going to show on every single page that I have. I don't think it'll go onto the disclaimer, because I think disclaimer pages generally have oh no, it has that. So there you go. So that is the header, and that goes onto every single page that I have in my website. That's something else that you can do. Hang on, let me actually just undo that because I wanted to show you. Or I can upload my logo, and that's really, really easy. You double click on it, and what it will bring up is your image gallery. Now, the images on Builderall are all compressed to make sure that they're really efficiently, for loading on websites and everything. They also will give you or put all the images that they have for that template as well. They have a bit of a collection. So you'll see here all the images that you can use for free on your website if you want to, and you're a bit stuck and you haven't got money at this stage to purchase any images. You can also use any of the icons. So say, for instance, this might be a little bit of fun, right? So I can add that one in, confirm, and now I have that arrow, and I can make it bigger or smaller, however I want, and I just drag it. So what you'll see is when you actually select an item, it gets these little bubbles over here, and that's where you can grab it to resize it. If the bubbles don't come up, save your website and reload the website, and then they should come up. I ran into that problem and that solved it. Okay, so there you go. So this is a text box. So just a little bit about how to really start building your website. So when you're building in sections, so you can see if I select here, this is kind of like a section. So I've added a block here. And then I've put all this stuff in the block, because when I'm moving my website around, I want to be able to move everything together that's in this block. And the way that I do that, so if we grab this thing here, and can you see that it's now got, it's gone highlighted, which means now this one is going to be within that block. So when I move this whole block, that will move with it. You could see previously it wasn't moving with it. So this just helps me to kind of like group my content together so that it just makes me easier to edit when I want to move the things around. This is a button. So like we saw, everything that you have on here, you have a lot more things that you can do with it. If you control right click, it comes up with this little menu, and now I can change the text. I can make it bold. I can select you, and I can change the color of you to say blue. I can change that specific font. I can make that italicized. I can even change the actual font that I'm using. It will always default to whatever you are using for that template or whatever you've set up. Oops, sometimes that's, and just be patient. There's a lot that goes on in the background when you are working with websites. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to load, especially with the fonts, because there are heaps and heaps and heaps of fonts. So you can see, so I can change that color. I can put a background line into it. I can make that one, I can put a shadow in it. I can do the vertical, and that's the color of the shadow. So there's just really heaps and heaps of styling that you can do on your website. And of course, it's always better a clean, simple website will go a far way than trying to, get too many different styles. And how can I put it? You just really want to keep it really simple and plain. Using this, maximum three different colors on a website, but I'm not a website designer, so my website, sometimes I need a little bit of help to make them pretty as well. And then you have your text block. So you can see here I've got two text blocks. I've got this one, and I can knock that one, and then I can see, say for instance there, and then I have another text block here that I can move around separately. And often it's just easier when you do that if you've got one that's one size and one that's another size. But if you want to move them together, you can always just put them in a block. So say, for instance, I had this one, and you can see that within that this big block, I've got another block that I've been added, and everything that is in this block I can move around. So if I wanted to add these two just in a block, what I would do is I would go over here, plus I would put in a box. I would just add a simple box like that. And then I would just make it a little bit bigger, so obviously that everything can fit in. And normally what I do is, until I've put everything in my box, I just leave the color. So I would grab that, I would put it in the box. Can you see it's gone green? It's probably not the best color. And then I put this one in, I can see that it's gone like the blue thing. Now when I select this, I can move around. So now I've just created another block. And obviously I don't want the background to be blue. So now what I'll do is I'll right click on the box, and you can see the box now has those, it's probably the wrong color that I made it, but it doesn't matter. Right click, I go now to appearance, and the background colors, this background color, I now go in and I make it transparent. And there you go. So you won't even, when somebody's looking at the website, they won't actually even see that there is anything going on, or that there's that text is in a block. This is a button. So obviously you have a couple of things that you want to do with a button. So you right click. The most important thing is the action. So you can change the text, right? So if I don't want instant access, I want get your staff. I would change it over here, and I can put a subtitle in, but most of the times you don't. With the buttons, you can change the appearance. Now that is the font, the background color. You can make them square, round, square, corners. You can, I like them just rounded a little bit, but you can make them square. You can make them really, really round. You can really play. You can change the color of it, the background. So many things that you can do when it comes to the appearance. Like I said, you'd spend hours. Don't take too much time. The most important thing here is to put the action in. So this is what you want to do, what you want to happen when that person clicks on that button. So do you want them to go to a web address? Do you want them to go to a next page? Do you want them to phone? All these things you are able to do. Most of the time, we just want to send them to another page. Now, in this training, I'm not going to be going into creating landing pages and opt-ins and things like that. I just want you to let you know that this is what is available. And if you are tech savvy and you know about things, just go ahead and you'll definitely be able to figure it out. So that's that. And then we have our images. Now, if you double click on your image, this is again where you get your gallery. If I wanted to pop an image in there, so I want to pop that one in, you'll see it makes like a little blue tick. And I hit confirm, and then my image appears. And if I wanted to change the size of that image, I can just grab these. Let me just put that. You see, I just want to change that box so that it's in this little box there. If I want to change the size of the image, I go there. You see there's the little bubbles over here. I can change the size of the image there as well. Maybe put it like that. If I wanted to put, say, text in this bubble, I just go here, add text, and maybe select my text. It's a little bit too big, so I make it a bit smaller. And then I can drag it in and I pop it in there. And now when I want to move this box around, it does all the text. If I want to just move the text, I go in and then I select that. If I want to change it, I say use a different style. And really I want to make it that. And then I select it all so that I can change the color. So really you can, and I make it white. And it will look exactly like it is here. So yes, I want to apply those changes. Now, if if you want to say, for instance, I want it to hang over here, it's actually going to do that. So when I preview the website, it'll actually hang over the top. So whatever you do, that's the way it's going to look. And then remember, we have the footer down the bottom here, and that is your thing that's going to be on every single website. So that's it. Go through and just stop, playing around, getting familiar with the editor. And once you've got your, if you go back and you have a look at, what I would suggest is you have a look through all these different website templates and choose the one that you feel is the closest to how you want your website to look. And then you can just go in and edit it. So say, for instance, we go to, I just want to close this one. And the reason why I'm closing it is because I really don't want to overload my system, because I've got Zoom running as well. So if you've got multiple ones open, every single time Builderall has to do a whole lot of work in the background, and this might just slow everything down for you. Say, for instance, we want to, if I'm doing this one, I'll hit edit over here, and this will bring everything in like it is in the template, and all you need to then do is make the changes that you want to. So you might want to add your own images. I wouldn't mess too much, because we really just want to get your website up and running as quickly as possible. But you can then just add your logo thing, and there is your website almost done. The stuff that you would change, so there's an image. If that's you can delete some stuff. Oh, I just wanted to show you that. So if you right click on any of the elements, you'll see these things over here. Now this one is hide it. So if I hide it now, it won't show up on any of my websites. But if I wanted to put it back, I just go over here and I click that, and it will pop it back there. You can go in and configure it if you wanted to delete a whole section and you want it totally away. You don't want it at all on your website. You go here and you put it in the trash can, and that'll throw it away automatically. Boom, and it's gone forever. Now what you've seen is you've got this massive hole here, so you have to grab this and you have to just drag it up so that you fill out that hole. And then you would drag this section and pull it up. And you would just go through your whole website, and this is our footer, so that would be okay. And there you go. You've got your total website done. And you would just go in here and you would type in whatever you wanted to over here. So, okay, so that's it. So your homework is to go through all the templates, select one, and start editing your website and adding your content into the layout. Once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm here, and as our group grows, there'll be other people that will also be able to answer your questions. That's it for today. Bye for now. Let me just see. Let me stop my share, and I'm going to end the meeting. All right, everybody. Bye.